people are knocking on the door, say, hey, have you got a job? Sure. Will you produce? How much you cost? So like, there's always a vacancy. As long as you're gonna produce as much as you cost me, you know, I might have one guy, and then, you know, someone else shows up and he wants a job. No problem. If I pay you $1,200, are you gonna produce $1,500 for me? Are you gonna directly impact my incomes to guarantee your wage?
Forget about sustainability. You want to enrich ecosystems.
Every being is equipped to live a positive, energetic balance.
Keep it pruned.
We are cultivating abundance.
Not a problem to cut down trees. The problem is not planting them.
Yo, what's up, Agroforestry Academy tribe? Welcome back to another video. That's great. First of all, you know, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, click on subscribe, you know, sign up to the little bell. You'll be the first to know when we've got the new content out for you guys. I'd like to also take the opportunity to thank all the people that have signed up for Patreon and how that's been important as well for us, where you're helping us direct the content, right? Hence the topic of this video. And, you know, each time we're going to see more of this happening, where we, you know, through the Patreon, we can understand your needs and direct the content accordingly, right? So let's get right to it. Today's video, we're going to be talking about labor, you know, workforce, and, you know, when should you hire, when should you not hire, and what are the risks, and, you know, so a few of my thoughts on that. All right, so obviously different conditions, different legislation, this could alter and it could affect your decision as well. Basically, and a lot of people as well scared of you know, letting go, you know, someone who's not producing. I see a lot of this as well, and it's very dangerous because, you know, if you're paying someone to produce and he's not producing, you know, it's backward steps, you know, and then you look back like, oh, you know, you get someone great, and you know, you see how many great steps and how you evolve, and you're like, wow, if I had I done this 2 years ago. And sometimes you're stuck with someone who has got the attitude, the person's not producing, he's not aligned with the project, and then it's just backward steps basically. So you really need to have, you know, people which are committed and are passionate and are willing to learn and are on board with to take forward steps, really. I like to think of it as, you know, for you to hire your staff, you know, it's really a case where they have to pay for themselves. They have to pay for their own production. You know, someone who works with you, he needs to produce at least minimum the amount that he costs you, right? If he costs you so much, he needs to produce so much minimum. You know, ideally we're talking about he needs to produce as much as he costs, plus a little bit extra for you. Otherwise, what's the point of the headache anyway if you just got to draw even? Obviously you can progress and you can promote more life and you know, plant for the future. But even when you plant for the future, you take into account that he's producing his money's worth, because, you know, in so many months from now I'm going to harvest that banana, so that's been accounted for, where today he's earned his wage, you know. So it's one of those things, you know, let's put dummy figures, let's say in dollars. So if someone is earning, say, $1,200 a month, you know, to work with you, that's, let's say, an average. I know there's 4.3 months in 4.3 weeks in a month, but let's just say that would be an average $300 a week, right? That would be $60 a day, right? So I really got to break it down to how much it cost me per day, and even how much it cost me per half a day, right? So it cost me $30 for half a day, right? So I need to make sure that this guy, you know, today, his direct action has, you know, he needs to directly perform where it's going to reflect $60 income. You know, I really have to work with that kind of pressure. You know, I really got to break it down to the day. I'll be like, all right, we've been working for 2 days now. and none of the action has has been directed towards an income. Now there's a lot of things that go on around in the farm that doesn't directly impact that income. We're fixing the water supply, we gotta fix this, fix that, we need to do things, we need to clean up the rubbish, so much stuff that goes on that doesn't directly impact the income. But you've got to reserve a time of the day for that. Then a very clear example is like I've gone through the day, and yesterday's and today's project, none of this is directly reflecting in an income. But then hold on, stop, let's just plant some papayas quickly here. Let's reserve an hour of this day and let's just put some papaya seeds down. If I put some papaya seeds down, then I know that action there has produced me, if I've planted, say, 20 papaya, seed bombs, I'm bound to have 1 or 2 papaya trees in the future harvesting. So then, one papaya tree is going to pay me that $60 of today. Stop. Let's reserve an hour of the day to put some avocado seeds on the ground. I know we're like talking about plots and, systems, and, when you do a whole system, then it kind of like gets spread out, within that week, all your actions, and then all your actions without that week, you're preparing the soil and this and that, and that's not directly, it's not like you're planting and you're not producing, but then you do the maths there where, all right, there's been a week's worth now. I've got 2 guys here, that's $300 in the case, so it's $600, 2 guys. So has this week, directly impacted me with $600? So these guys, they need to be aware of how much it costs you. They need to be aware of this, that it's not a game. We're not here to be injecting money and paying from external resources. It's great if you can, and if you have that kind of profile where you've got a great job and then you're happy to just you're happy to make that loss, because it's not a loss. You're promoting life, you're producing fruit for your family. It doesn't need to add up, it doesn't matter, it doesn't need to add up. I just want everything looking nice and I want to come here for the weekend. That's great if you got that kind of setup. But if you want to make any kind of living of this, you need to make the maths. The people that are on board with you, they need to be on board. They need to understand the expectations and how they're going to maintain their job. Once you think like this, once you've got your staff thinking like this, it really it's up to them. People show up here and they're like, have you got a job? Oh, that's a little bit of wind there. I hope the sound is okay. People are knocking on the door and say, hey, have you got a job? I'm like, sure. Will you produce? How much you cost? So like, there's always a vacancy. As long as you're going to produce as much as you cost me, I might have one guy, and then someone else shows up and he wants a job. No problem. If I pay you $1,200, are you going to produce $1,500 for me? Are you going to directly impact my incomes to guarantee your wage? So if they're aware of this, it really doesn't matter. I could have 2 members of staff, or I could have 5. Basically, you're welcome as long as you're on board. You're welcome to work as long as you're going to produce. It's a no-brainer. If you're going to produce your wage plus a little bit more, then you're welcome. Then I can have more people in. Right? Obviously, there's a relation where you don't want to just break even. If the guy's just only going to produce that $1,200, all right, so then I've got now 5 people producing their own wage. If I'm just going to break even, then it's just a headache as well. I don't want to be managing 5 people to break even. If I'm going to break even with 5 people, say I'm going to pay $1,000, and with one guy, with $1,000, I can sell $1,000 worth of veg, and then I'm paying $5,000 worth of wage, and I'm selling $5,000 worth of veg. That's a lot more work for me, a lot more headache to manage 5 people and sell 5 times the amount just to break even. Then you know what? If I'm going to break even, then I'd rather break even with less people, less of a headache. all right, just enough to keep things ticking, all right. So it's important that, you know, we're talking about the minimum they need to pay for themselves and a little bit more, because then that's scalable. Then you can have 5 people. If everyone's earning you $200 per person, you know, times 5, and then that makes sense scaling up. It's worth the extra management, right? Obviously, for this to add up, you need to have the market. You need to have somewhere where you can sell to. You know, because you're considering these guys are going to plant, they're going to produce the amount that they cost, but this will only become concrete if you actually sell this product that they've produced. So obviously you need to have a market, and it's a little bit as well scalable to the kind of demand, the kind of access you have to shops and markets and stores and things like that. If you're starting up, it's a little bit tricky, isn't it? Because you can't open the market, you can't, you know, introduce your veg if you haven't produced it. So there's always a margin, there's always a period which you will be, you know, taking a loss, where you've had to produce your veg so you can present it to people. So like, can I sell this in your store? You know, so first you need to produce to have access. People need to see, you know, this guy, he produces good quality produce, he's got good quality veg, so, you know, I'll buy off him and I'll put it in my store and I'll take it to the markets, I'll put it in my online store. You know, a lot of people now selling it, you know, CSA online, selling the veg is very hot in this pandemic times. You know, we ended up closing up all the stores and everything has gone online in the last few months. You know, our operations, and us and the neighbors and our association here. So I mean, do understand that's okay. An initial investment is necessary. You do need to produce. You do need to pay the cost of your labor initially, okay? So that, you know, you take a bit of a loss until you get into the market, until you start selling the stuff, and then, you know, you got the demand, and then you can scale up, and then it's up to. So basically, you know, I wouldn't be scared of, you know, hiring people. Just make sure that they're on board with the expectations of what they have to produce to make it, you know, viable, so that they can maintain their job and you can maintain them employed for as long as you can. It's like, how long are you got to work here? You can work here forever, as long as you work forever. If you work, then you got a job forever. If you're not producing, so you can work here for as long as you like, because you make the choice. You know, I really put them in this position where you decide if you have a vacant, if there's a job for you here. You know, if you're happy to you know, get on board, and you know, why would I ever, you know, want to cut that kind of labor? You know, because they will produce sufficiently. All right, so that's, you know, a little reflection on that. Okay, you know, hit me up with some questions if you have any doubts. Obviously, this is my understanding, this is my style of working, you know, and you know, it can be more efficient with more people, where you say like one person can hoe so many meters. So let's just dummy numbers. One person will hoe 10 meters down, 10 meters an hour. 2 people will hoe 22 meters. Let's say, you know, one person can do 10 meters worth of work. When you've got 2 of them, you can do 22 meters. You understand? So you can be a little bit more efficient at times when you have a second hand. So there is an advantage of scaling up. The danger of scaling up is having 2 people doing the same job when it's not necessary. A lot of the times, you know, you need to fix a pipe, and then the both of them go fix the pipe, and then you need to, you know, feed the cows, and the both of them go feed the cow, and then that's when you're not being efficient. You really need to have people doing their own things until someone needs a hand for the operation, and then the other one comes, and then it becomes efficient. When you need 2 people, you can, you know, instead of doing 10, you do 22. Yeah, instead of doing 20 for 2, you get 22 as a result. And then, you know, when the operation doesn't need 2 people, it's very dangerous. You know, they become pals and they're talking, and then, you know, they spend their day going around the farm doing things together. So that's really dangerous there, where you know, you're paying 2 people to do one person's job. So you really got to be on board. You really need to be, you know, on your toes, making sure people are being efficient. people are, if this operation only needs one person, then one person here please, and another one over there. And then if an operation you need two, you know, you got to stretch out some fencing, and you need that second hand. Otherwise it's really not efficient. One guy sometimes he's suffering, you know, undoing that ball of wire, and you know, he needs a hand, where then it becomes efficient with two people for certain operations. So you really need to weigh that up as well. All right, so that's it. I mean, that's my reflection of the day from the Agroforestry Academy crew. Thanks very much for being back here with us. Big up all of you in the channel. Big up, special thanks to the people in the Patreon. Thanks very much. Those webinars were really hot. We're really chuffed that you guys, you know, were vibing with it. You know, just to let you know, we were as vibing as you are, and it's great. It's giving us, you know, you guys interacting, asking the questions through the webinars as well. So that's been great to help us as well understand what's the content, what are your doubts, and you can be expecting more of that. Okay, so till next time, baby.